Howdy, Dan Illman, Mike Beard, the DRF race of the day for Friday, February the 2nd, race number 9 at Oaklawn Park. This could be an important prep for the historic Apple Blossom at Oaklawn later this spring. It's the Grade 3 Bayakoa going 1.16 miles on the main track. 9 horses entered, including the morning line favorite, Shotgun Hottie. Looks good the last time we saw her winning the Grade 3 Molly Pitcher, but the last time we saw her was in the summer. She's got to deal with an outside post, a long layoff, and a good field.
Yeah, it got awful good last summer off the trainer change to Cherie DeVoe. Her form really ticked up over the summer, Dan. It's a long layoff for her. She does come back, and I think this is a pretty good spot for her, but maybe she'll need one. Also, the 7 Hot and Sultry feels like shorter layoff for her, but another good spot for her to come back in, especially because of her early speed.
And she did good work at Oaklawn Park as well last year. We throw up the Timeform US pace projector. As Mike said, the 7 Hot and Sultry has good early speed, wired a field last time out, going a 1-turn mile at Churchill Downs, and she may be able to get to the lead without much of a problem. The 6 Comparative was up close to a slower pace, going 1.1 miles at Aqueduct last time out, but she's very tactical, as is the one down on the rail, the Alley's Look.
Yeah, the Alley's Look, I don't think you're going to see her trying to make the lead in here, but she's going to fall into a really nice trip from the rail. With her, it's just all about whether she can bounce back out of a very disappointing performance. It's hard to argue with this pace projector, Dan. I think Hot and Sultry is going to clear off in here. To me, maybe the key to this pace, though, is Shotgun Hottie, the 9. They have her sort of towards the back of the pack. She's not a slow horse, and they could certainly try to go forward with her here off the layoff.
A horse that is hoping that this blue bar favoring front runners on that pace projector is incorrect is the horse with the fastest Timeform US late pace rating. That's the number 8 Scratch Cat. But let's start things off with the Alley's Look, a horse that had a really good 3-year-old campaign, kind of underrated as well. 3rd in the Kentucky Oaks, and after that we only saw her twice, both races coming off pretty solid layoffs. Her most recent race is the one I think that's a little bit concerning on paper. She was dropped in class at the fairgrounds where she did good work in 2023, and the running line doesn't look very good. Did you have an excuse?
Not really. I mean, it's a pretty disappointing performance. I mean, she didn't really get into a great early position there, and she spent the early part of that race sort of in and among horses. To me, she didn't look that comfortable, but she also didn't do any running once she did get room to sort of try to do something there. Then it was very disappointing. And that came off of the heels, though, of that November race at Church. I know it was a weaker field. I thought she ran pretty well in that one, though. She did get a good trip sitting behind a slow pace, but I just liked the way that she finished to sort of take that thing over late and get clear. I don't know. It's a tough question for her to answer now, because this is a better field than that she's faced last time. And she's coming off of a very, very disappointing performance. But as you've already mentioned, she was a good 3-year-old. And there's a chance she takes a step forward. If she does, are you going to be shocked if she's around at the end?
And 20-1 on the morning line, considering the form we saw last year, especially around 2 turns, this good post position and tactical speed, that is certainly a good price. The 2 is Ice Orchid, coming out of the Pippin, a race that features several of these horses. Maybe Ice Orchid is the one you're supposed to take out of the Pippin, because she was favored that day, but she didn't break very well. She had to go 3-4 wide on the turn while the winner snuck through on the inside, and she still battled it out for second. It was an okay effort for Ice Orchid, who's sort of, I think, reached that plateau as a mid-80, high-80 buyer horse, and she might have to do better here.
It's just, yeah, that's the problem for her. It's a tougher race, but I'm still a fan of hers, Dan. I do want to point out that I think that the argument that you just made for coming out of the Pippin is the exact same argument that you and I made for out of the Mistletoe. Isn't she the horse you're supposed to take out of that race, where she didn't get the best trip in the race, still ran really well and just failed? Last time it was the same thing. Didn't get the best trip in there, still ran really well, couldn't get the job done. I do think she's a contender in here. I do think she's going to be a good price in this race, and I could try to use her somewhere, but I don't like her as much as I did last time.
The winner of the Pippin is back for more. That's the 3 Misty Veil. And we'll take a look at that race right now. She snuck through down on the inside, while the horse on the outside, 4 wide, turning for home, was Ice Orchid. She came off the rail briefly, Misty Veil. She's going to drift back towards the inside. You're going to see Butterbean sneak through on the inside behind these horses, and she's finishing on strongly for 3rd. Misty Veil has the tactical speed to work out these kind of trips, and it looks like Maker's gotten her good again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, she did take advantage a little bit here to get the job done, but it's still a good performance, even 2 starts back. She had a little trouble in that race. I still thought that was a good trip and she wasn't quite good enough to get the job done. She's underrated, though. I'll give her that. I don't love her. I'm not her biggest fan, but she gets good trips in her races, and she's underrated.
The problem is the horses coming out of the Pippin are going to have to face a tougher field in here, as is the 4 Just Katherine, who's stepping back up into the graded stakes ranks after victory in a second level allowance over a very wet track going 9 furlongs. This is what Just Katherine seems to do against allowance company, Mike. She wins very easily. She puts up very competitive numbers. And right now, on paper at least, she looks like a quad A ball player. When they step her up into the graded stakes ranks, it doesn't work out as well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, she's got something to prove, to be sure. And this isn't a very strong field that she's beating here. That's why she was 4-5 in this race. But you have to like the way that she did it, Dan. I mean, she pounded this field. I didn't think her comely 2 starts back. She didn't look at. There was never a point where it looked like she was going to win. It wasn't a terrible performance, in my opinion. She was wide around the track. She tried really hard in there and only got tired at the end. I'm a little concerned that I think she might be a little bit better going longer distances. So I don't think dropping back to a mile 16 really helps her in here. But she's pretty good, and she could take another step forward in this race.
She has shown flashes, as we saw in that last race, as we saw in some races earlier in 2023, that are good enough to win this race. Now she has to put it all together at this sort of higher level. The horses at Oaklawn have been sort of beating themselves in this division all winter long. Butterbean won the Mistletoe over Misty Veil and Ice Orchid. We saw Butterbean rally for 3rd in the Pippin last time out. For Butterbean, it's all about pace. So if we go back to our Timeform US pace projector, a pace that might not be fast, it could work against Butterbean. I've liked her, and I think if she gets pace, she can make an impact in this race.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, just go back and compare the last 2 races on her card, and she ran really well in both of them, but the pace made all the difference. She had a really fast one in the Mistletoe, and she came running and closed that race down. And then last time there just was no pace for her, and she still ran well. I would argue that she ran every bit as well in the Pippin last time as she did in the Mistletoe. It just didn't set up that well for her. I actually, of the horses exiting the Pippin, I want to take Butterbean out of that race. I think she's going to be a good price once again, and I just like her last 2 races quite a bit.
After burning a lot of money early in her career, the number 6 Comparative appears to have reached peak maturity for Brad Cox. And I think the key was giving her a break after a kind of a dull performance in the Black-Eyed Susan, where she had some trouble in that race. She's now won 4 of her last 5 races, and she showed a lot of determination winning the ladies. The horse on the outside, Saddle Up Jessie, made this big wide move on the turn, had about a length on Comparative at the 3/16 pole, but Comparative shows a lot of class to battle back, and she's going away at the end.
Yeah, I mean, she just really hung in there again, because she did look beat coming off that final turn there. But she just hangs in, and she's going to wind up fighting her way back into it late, and she's sort of edging away from this horse. It's a good performance and certainly a step in the right direction. I still can't say that I'm sold on her, Dan. I really don't love her overall form, but I got to admit, she ran well last time, and she did improve. And if she improves again, she could be right there at the end. There should be a good trip coming for her in here.
Hot Sultry, a multiple stakes winner around 1 turn, ran very well at Oaklawn last year. She was 4th in the Azeri in 2023. That was a race that just was a much better field. You had your Clariers and your Secret Oath, and then she ran 3rd behind those 2 in the Apple Blossom. So she has ability, she has speed, and she just dominated a group last time out at Churchill going that 1 turn mile. The big question is distance. Is she truly the kind of mare that wants to go a mile and a 16th against good competition?
Yeah, I think that's a very valid question that she has to answer in here too. And I get it. If you just look at the Azeri and the Apple Blossom from early last year on paper, you think, she ran fine in those races against better horses. She can get this far. I don't know, man. I didn't think her Azeri was particularly good. I know it was a good field, but to me, she just didn't look like she wanted to go that distance. And then the Apple Blossom, I mean, I know it was Clarier and Secret Oath, but that was really a 3-horse field. There was one other horse in there who had absolutely no chance. So this horse was last in a 3-horse field, and she never looked like she was going to win. I don't know. I'm not sold on her. The figures say she's the horse to beat. The pace projector says she's the horse to beat, and maybe she is the horse to beat in here, but I'm not betting her.
Scratch Cat is up next, and she grinded her way through her 2nd and 3rd level allowance conditions, 4 and 3 starts back. They tried her in the Fall City Stakes. It was a race where she only gave an even performance against a pretty good filly in Jagera. Last time out at the fairgrounds, she finished ahead of the Alley's Look, but she never looked like she was going to really win that race. She kind of just saved ground and chugged along late.
Yeah, exactly. She got up for 4th, but she really didn't do any running. It was never a factor in that race. This pace projector just really works against her in here. Then I don't know if the pace is going to be super slow in this race, but it's probably not going to be fast either. I thought Scratch Cat needed some help if she was going to beat this field.
The runner-up from that race at the Fairgrounds came back to finish third in Sam Houston's Ladies Classic last week, a grade 3 with an 82 Beyer. Shotgun Hottie has run well fresh in the past, including her first start for Cherie DeVoe at Oaklawn last year, going this distance in a 3 life allowance race. Here's her win in the Molly Pitcher. She looked really good this day. This is Haskell Day at Monmouth. The horse in between horses is Search Results, the big favorite who has really shown her quality in grade 1 and grade 2 races. Shotgun Hottie seemed to be traveling better with her on the turn and keeps on rolling in the stretch.
Yeah, it's what makes this a quality win here. I mean, I know it's towards the end of Search Results' career, but Search Results did come out of this race to win her next start in a graded stakes race. So I don't know, man. I thought this was a quality win. She was super impressive. 2 back in the Ladies Secret. She had a really soft trip that day, but that was an impressive stretch run that she put in. It just feels like Cherie DeVoe got this horse really good last year. We'll see what we get off the layoff.
It looked like she was going to be pointed to a race like the Personal Ensign at Saratoga off that win in the Molly Pitcher. Instead, she never returned to the work tab until the winter. Here she is. This is a very good trainer. This is a pretty good horse off of a layoff. It'll be interesting to see how they bet this race. She's the 2-1 morning line favorite, but maybe she's even the second choice if the folks go with the speed. Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Let's take a look at our top picks. I like where you're going. The Alley's Look projects for a good trip down from the inside. She has back class. She's going to be a big price.
Yeah, I'll only take her in here if she is indeed a big price at post time, Dan, because there is a real chance that not only is she in too tough here, but that last race is a really bad sign for her, and she'll just be nowhere at the end here. I think she can do better than that. I think the good trip is going to be there for her if she can still run. So I'll take a shot with her in this race. I'm not going to be surprised when it's 7-9 or 9-7. I just didn't really want to bet either of those horses in here.
If Hot and Sultry's 3-1, I think that's fair, even with some concerns about her distance, considering this pace scenario. If she gets to the front and backs down the pace, she might have more than enough left, although I probably would be screaming wire at the 16th pole. 7-9-6-3 for me, 1-5-6-7 for Mike. Grade 3 Bayakoa is our feature and our DRF race of the day for Friday. Good luck.